In 1851, the United States government enacted the Indian Appropriations Act, marking the beginning of a reservation system designed to confine Native American tribes to designated land. These reservations were framed as a solution to what the government termed the Indian problem. In reality, they were a tool for further displacing Native Americans from their ancestral lands, forcing them onto often uninhabitable and subpar territories. This systemic relocation disrupted lives, fractured cultures, and perpetuated cycles of poverty and marginalization. Today, we'll explore the history, challenges, and resilience of Native American communities living on reservations. But before we begin, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel for more insights into untold stories. Share your thoughts in the comments on what aspects of Native American history intrigue you most. Now, let's delve into the complex story of life on Native American reservations. Before reservations, the U.S. government had already set a precedent of forcibly removing Native American tribes from their home. The Indian Removal Act of 1830, championed by President Andrew Jackson, led to one of the darkest chapters in American history, the Trail of Tears. Thousands of Cherokee, along with other tribes, were forcibly marched to designated territories in the West. Over 4,000 perished from starvation, disease, and exhaustion. By the mid-19th century, reservations were formalized under the Indian Appropriations Act. Yet, these lands were far from a refuge. Tribes were restricted from leaving their reservations without government approval, effectively cutting them off from traditional hunting, fishing, and gathering grounds that had sustained them for generations. The land allocated was often barren, unsuitable for farming, and unable to support large populations. For many tribes, the reservation system symbolized not just a loss of land, but also a forced departure from their way of life. In 1887, the Dawes Act was introduced, ostensibly to help Native Americans integrate into American society. The act divided reservation lands into individual plots for farming and ranching, allocating parcels to Native American families. However, this policy, presented as a means to uplift communities economically, had the opposite effect. Much of the land was unsuitable for agriculture, and after a 25-year tax-free period, families were often forced to sell their land to pay state taxes. This led to widespread land loss, disintegration of tribal structures, and further impoverishment. By 1934, the U.S. government attempted to reverse some of the damage through the Indian Reorganization Act. This law encouraged tribes to establish their own governments, draft constitutions, and manage their affairs. While this was a step towards self-determination, the economic and cultural scars of earlier policies persisted. Native American tribes have held a unique form of sovereignty since the U.S. Constitution's inception. Yet, their autonomy has been consistently undermined by federal policies. The concept of sovereignty often places tribes in a precarious position, caught between self-governance and federal oversight. Most reservation land is held in trust by the U.S. government, limiting tribes' ability to manage or develop it freely. The justice system on reservations further complicates matters. Tribal courts lack jurisdiction over non-native individuals, even when crimes occur on tribal lands, combined with low police staffing and vast rural landscapes. This leads to high crime rates and low prosecution rates. For example, violence against Native American women is significantly higher than the national average. Many survivors have limited access to support services, and jurisdictional challenges often prevent justice. Living conditions on many reservations are dire. As of 2014, the median income for Native Americans was just over $37,000, compared to the national average of $63,000. On some reservations, such as Pine Ridge in South Dakota, the per capita income is as low as $8,768, the lowest in the nation. Unemployment rates often exceed 50%, and many residents live in overcrowded, substandard housing without access to basic amenities like running water or electricity. In regions like Arizona and Utah, members of the Navajo Nation travel miles to collect water from communal wells. Education is another significant challenge. Many reservation schools are underfunded and lack resources. Teachers like Cheryl Locke, who works at Pine Ridge, report students who come to school without supplies or adequate rest. Many children sleep on floors or overcrowded couches, making it difficult to focus on academics. These systemic barriers perpetuate cycles of poverty and limit opportunities for future generations. Healthcare on reservations is primarily provided by the Indian Health Service, ASN, and underfunded federal agents. Clinics are often understaffed, under-equipped, and unable to meet the needs of the population. Native Americans face disproportionately high rates of chronic illnesses such as diabetes, liver disease, and heart disease. Life expectancy on some reservations, like Pine Ridge, is shockingly low, hovering around 47 years for men and 55 years for women. Substance abuse is another crisis. Alcoholism and drug addiction, including methamphetamine use, are prevalent. Although 2/3 of reservations are officially dry, alcohol is often easily accessible just outside reservation boundaries. This contributes to high rates of fetal alcohol syndrome and babies born addicted to drugs. Without adequate rehabilitation facilities, these issues continue to devastate families and communities. Economic opportunities on reservations are limited. Most jobs are tied to tribal governments or federal programs. The 1988 Indian Gaming Regulatory Act allowed tribes to establish casinos, which have become a significant source of income for some. Collectively, Native American gaming generates over $32 annually. However, the benefits are not evenly distributed. While some tribes thrive, others continue to struggle with poverty. Tourism also contributes to reservation economies. Cultural festivals, nature reserves, and historical sites attract visitors, providing jobs and revenue. However, these industries often depend on seasonal demand and fail to provide consistent income. Despite the many challenges, reservations remain vital to preserving Native American culture. The American Indian Religious Freedom Act of 1978 safeguarded traditional spiritual practices, allowing tribes to reclaim and celebrate their heritage. Many reservations now host language immersion programs, helping younger generations learn and preserve their ancestral tongues. These efforts have revitalized languages that were once on the brink of extinction. Additionally, movements like the 2016 Dakota Access Pipeline, protests at Standing Rock underscore the enduring spirit of Native American communities. The protest brought national attention to issues of environmental justice and indigenous rights, highlighting the resilience and unity of tribes in the face of adversity. Reservations represent both a painful history of displacement and a testament to Native American resilience. While life on reservations remains fraught with challenges, they serve as a cornerstone for preserving culture, language, and identity. As we continue from history, it's crucial to support and amplify Native voices, ensuring a future that respects their sovereignty and heritage.